What's up guys, welcome back to another video, another predictions video. First game, a London derby between Crystal Palace and Fulham. I'm going with a 2-1 Palace win. I think Fulham have definitely looked worse than Palace so far this season. At home, Palace have looked threatening. They've shown a lot of qualities through players like Eze. I've been very impressed with Edouard and even Mateta. Fulham, on the other hand, haven't shown a lot of quality going forward. They've shown a decent amount of defensive strength with players like Leonard playing very well, and also Polinia, who's come back into side off signing his new contract and looked really good. But I just think the attacking threat of Palace will overpower Fulham, and I would expect a Palace win. Luton Town against Wolves, a relegation 6-pointer here. This is going to be a very tight game. I don't think there'll be a lot of quality. I think there'll only be one goal in it, and I think Luton Town take it. I'm going 1-0 to the Hatters. I can very much see Wolves also winning 1-0, but I don't think it's not going to be a high-scoring game. It'll be very tight. I just think with Luton being the home side, yet to pick up any points in the Premier League, they need the win more than Wolves do, because Wolves have overall looked the better of the two sides so far this season. Manchester City against Nottingham Forest. Manchester City had to come from behind to win their Champions League opener against Red Star Belgrade, and I think they'll win here again 4-1 Manchester City. Doku will probably get a couple goals because I might bring him to my field team, so hopefully he does alright. I do think Forest will score though, because Manchester City haven't looked the most solid defensively, which I've been a bit surprised about. On paper, their defenders are very, very good, and they started the season against Burnley and Newcastle keeping clean sheets in both games. Since then, they haven't kept any, which is surprising. And but with Forest attacking threat as well, players like Awoniyi being very good, Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs White being able to score screamers, I think that Forest will get a goal, but it should still be a pretty routine win for the treble winners. Brentford against Everton, I'm going with a 2-1 Brentford win. I think at home they're very, very difficult to beat, and if you're a lower table side, it's going to be hard to get anything there. I do reckon Everton score because Brentford have shipped a few goals this season, but I don't think it'll be enough because Brentford have a lot of firepower up top, even without Tony, and Mbeumo looked very good. Vista started the season well as well. Sharda obviously scored that brilliant goal against Crystal Palace. Hasn't featured too much, but he's also a threat. And I would expect Brentford to be more dominant, but I think they will struggle against a more low block side, and Everton will have an opportunity with Beto to probably get a goal. Pickford has been decent this season, but I still wouldn't expect him to be able to keep Brentford quiet for 90 minutes. And if Brentford don't win this, then it'll be disappointing for him. An 8 PM kickoff on Saturday don't really happen too much, but it's Burnley Manchester United, and I'm going with a 1-1 draw. Manchester United did actually get a pretty decent result in the Champions League. I know they lost, but it was 4-3. The scoreline makes it look a lot closer than it was. Really, Bayern Munich were by far the better side, and it could have been like 6-1 at some points, but Onana did make a couple saves after his very early howler. But Burnley, I think, are growing more in confidence. Again, if they lose this, I don't think it's the biggest deal ever, because again, Manchester United are on paper a much stronger side. Koleosho looks really, really good. Manchester United might struggle to defend against their attack, and I would expect Burnley to have quite a bit of the ball. And obviously, Man United will have a threat as well. Hoyland looks like he's found his feet very quickly, but expect Fernandes to be a bit better in this game. Rashford needs to improve as well, by the way. He's not looked great this season. So they put this game early, and because Arsenal are first out of all the teams at home alphabetically that are playing at this time, they're first up. So yeah, Arsenal-Tottenham, this is going to be a really feisty North London derby. Both these sides look really good. Both these sides can go on to win the title. It's very early in the season, and I think the one at Tottenham later, should both sides continue on the trajectory they're on, that could be a title decider potentially. Obviously, the North London derby a few years ago when Tottenham won 3-0 and sealed their spot in the Champions. I say a few years, that was like a year ago, wasn't it? Jeez. They sealed their spot in the Champions League at the expense of Arsenal. This is going to be a step up from that, because this is potentially two teams that could win the title. I think the North London derby is also the only game in the Premier League between two big clubs that have real hatred for each other. There's genuine animosity between these two sides. With it being at the Emirates, and with how well they played in midweek in the Champions League, I'm going to go with an Arsenal win. I think they'll win 2-1. It'll be a very tight game. It could be 3-2. I don't think there'll be a lot in it. I would expect Arsenal to win just because they're the home side, and Tottenham don't typically get a lot of wins at the Emirates. But I'm really excited for this because I'm hoping it'll be a very, very good game. Obviously, they could go the other way. Both sides could be a bit more cautious, not wanting to lose it. And I would expect that approach from Tottenham, with them being the away side. But Arsenal, they haven't looked free-flowing in the Premier League this season, but they scored 4 goals in the Champions League. So potentially, we could be seeing them properly settling in now you know, and gearing up for another very good attacking season like they had last season. At the same time, they'll be wary of that Spurs threat. They've got players like Maddison who can make things happen out of nothing. Bissouma's looked very good this season. Son against Burnley scored a hat-trick, obviously. And defensively, Tottenham have looked a lot better with Van der Ven and Romero, and even Udogie, who's looked insane. He'll have a big task at hand to keep Saka quiet, but I do think that he does have a decent chance at pulling it off. Martinelli will be injured for this game, I think, so Trossard will play again. He did very well in the Champions League, it's not a big issue. If Kai Havertz plays, Arsenal might not win this. Again, I know he was decent in the Champions League, but he's not good enough to play in this level of game. Tottenham should, again, if they get a point here, it's a very, very good result. And if they then follow that up with a win over Liverpool next week, they're very much in a title fight. Brighton and Hove Albion against Bournemouth. I'm recording this before any of the Europa League games have been played, or the Conference League games, so Villa as well. Brighton do have good depth, so even if they get an injury in that game, I believe they'll be fine. And with that being said, this is a bit of a South Coast derby. I'm going 3-1 to Brighton. These two clubs are really the only rivals each other have got, because Southampton don't really care about either of them. They more care about Portsmouth. So these two don't really have any rivalries. I know Brighton and Palace have some sort of rivalry, but like, what is that even about? Brighton just have too many good players in my opinion, and them being at home, I think they'll get the win. Bournemouth have yet to pick up a win, but again, they've played some really difficult games, so even if they lose again here, it's not the end of the world. They've got more winnable games coming up, and those are the sort of games where they do need to pick up more points. Chelsea, Aston Villa. Again, Chelsea have not started this season well at all. Aston Villa have had a mixed start, but the 2 games they've lost have been very difficult games. And with their European campaign kicking off, there could be a bit of fatigue with them, because I don't think their depth is quite as good as Brighton. It's still decent, to be fair. Away at the Bridge is a tough game, and I'm going with a 1-1 draw. I'm not sure if either side will be happy with this. Chelsea, although their numbers are promising for them, they're severely underperforming. They're yet to get, you know, any groove really. They're not playing Madueke for some reason. He's the best player last season. Cole Palmer's yet to start a game as well. I would expect him to play. If he starts and Madueke starts, I do think Chelsea will probably win. But I'm not sure if Pochettino really likes Madueke for whatever reason, so I'm not sure if they will start. With Villa on their 2 difficult away games so far this season, they've looked dreadful against both Newcastle and Liverpool. Chelsea aren't quite on that level, but it's still a tough away game. And I'm assuming Unai Emery will have learned to, if you're going to play a high line, you've got to press, which they haven't done for some reason. I feel like that's pretty common sense, and for a coach as good as Emery, he should know that. But hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully Villa take it, obviously. But, you know. Liverpool, West Ham, 2 more teams playing in the Europa League. I'm going to go 1-1. I know it's controversial. I predicted West Ham to get a point against Manchester City. And to be fair, for 75% of the match, they were at 1-1, and they just kind of threw it away at the end. It was a bit of a mistake from Agayed. He should have done better. Obviously, going away from home is also going to make it more difficult for West Ham to get a point. But I believe they can do it. You know, the defence did very well against the Manchester City attack for a large portion of that game. Areola's been in really good form this season, so even if Liverpool do get a couple chances, he might be able to keep them out. And the defence of Liverpool is nowhere near as good as the defence of Manchester City, so I would back West Ham to score a goal. And I could see it being 2-2 or something as well. This is going to be a good game as well, I think. Liverpool probably dominate the ball and have the majority of the chances, but West Ham have looked very clinical this season. Paqueta's made the most tackles in the Premier League. Hopefully it's just an entertaining game. And the last game, Sheffield United against Newcastle United. I'm going 3-1 Newcastle. Harvey Barnes will score 2 goals. Newcastle kicked off their Champions League campaign with a draw at the San Siro. They were outclassed for the majority of the match. At the end, there were a few chances for them. I know Longstaff could have scored. That's a very good result for them. To go away from home to San Siro and get a point is a result that they would absolutely have taken before the game. Sheffield United, again, they have looked decent this season. They almost got a point away at Tottenham. They almost got a point against Manchester City. They almost got a point against Nottingham Forest. They almost got a win over. Like they're almost club. And at some point, they will get better results. I just don't think it kicks off here. Newcastle, however, have not looked great this season, and they need to step up. They're going to need to be a lot better than that, and a lot better than they were against Milan. But I do believe there's still a gear for them to go up. They have got a few injuries. I'm hoping Lewis Hall will start getting some game time soon. See, when Willock's back, we'll see a big improvement as well. But even Isak, he started the season so well, and he just has not looked like that same player. But I mean, this might just be because of the amount of belief I have in Eddie Howe, and I do really like Newcastle. I think they play some really good football. Last season, at least, they did. And they've got a great fan base and everything. So I do always hope that they do well. And maybe that's kind of clouding me a little bit. I do think they should have the quality to win here. Those are my predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon for another video.